Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the ride. Welcome to my village. I'm so happy to have you with me tonight. I hope you are ready. I have a special guest with me, and we are going to get this conversation started. So I'm going to ask you now, will you please take the opportunity to like, subscribe, and share to to YouTube, as well the Just Fran channel, as well as follow me on Instagram at official_Just Fran, as well as on Facebook. So we are live tonight on Facebook and YouTube. So take the opportunity to follow us. And as always, I'm happy to have you with me. And so I'm going to make sure we check our sound, make sure everything is coming through great. And we are going to have an amazing show. But I'll be right back. Check this out. Make sure you turn that stove off because we don't want any issues tonight. I'll holla. And thank you so much once again. Thank you for being with me tonight. I'm your host, Francesca White. Welcome to the show, Conversations with Fran. Today on my show, I have an amazing guest. His name is Dr. Wayne Hopkins, and he is going to join me momentarily. But first, of course, I want to just kind of let you know. Well, hopefully, I hope your week has been well. Talk to me in the comments. Let me know how everything has been going. And I want to say, thank you. I see people that are with me today. Thank you so much for joining, and blessings to you as well, Lachelle. God bless you, sis. So remember, we're liking, we're subscribing, and we're sharing the brand new Just Fran channel. And I am happy to be able to share these things with you. Today, we're going to be talking about self care. What have you done for yourself lately? We always do for everybody else. And I think this pandemic has possibly driven us crazy that some of us might not even be excited about 2021. But I need you to get excited about your goals again, get excited about your purpose, be happy about what's going on with your life, because I believe good things are definitely happening for you. And so let's see, what else do we have? Ah, checking in with my village. I want to see what's going on YouTube. I hope you all are tuned in and ready to go. Yes. Come on, Jesus, for the new subscribers. I see you. Thank you so much. Tune in, share, tell a friend. I hope you turned your stove off because I don't want any issues. I'm not responsible for your liabilities. I hope you have your libations. I have me a cup of coffee to the side. I have a halls ready because I already, anytime me and Dr. Hopkins talk, I end up laughing until I cough. So there will be no spreading of the corona in Jesus' name. Oh, bless God. So let's get into it. And I can already see him laughing. So I'm going to stop so I don't, start nothing over here. But I want to go ahead and introduce my good friend. I want to tell you a little bit about him. Um, First of all, before I get to all of the particulars and the formalities of the introduction, let me just say this. Um, good church fellowship ain't good church fellowship if you can't go to a Thursday night service after you've been at work, after you've been at school all day, and you know that good Thursday night service. We always would meet up at Holy Chapel, right? And he's the organist for True Friendship. And anytime, let me tell you something, it's just certain choirs that you just get excited, when you see them come in those robes. It seems so long ago that we saw a choir march in. You know what I'm saying? It seems like it was just eons ago that you were able to duck in the door. You tried to get there before your favorite choir. Well, let me tell you, this man could sit down to the organ with this smile on his face. And the minute he just starts playing, and he can sit there so motionless, but kill the organ. I mean, just literally smoke it into the ground. Yes, I'm adding extras on it. Yes, I'm building it up, Hopkins. Yes, I am. But I'm telling the truth. So anyway, um, this is how I came to know him. I met him at one of our church fellowships, and dare I say, this wow, I've known him over 10 to 15 years now, maybe. Good grief. Okay. Well, that's him getting old, not me. But so anyway, anywho, with the formalities of it, I've been excited about this because I get to say where he got his BA degree from. Are you ready? Everybody say it with me. Ithaca. Sorry. I told him, I said, I'm going to have fun with that. Anyway, but let me get to it. So he is a Greenville, South Carolina native. That's where he started his lifelong love of learning and service. And he received his bachelor's in communications from, say it with me, everyone. Come on, come on, come on. Ithaca. Yes, Ithaca. Come on, Jesus. It, uh, Ithaca College in Ithaca, New York. Okay, I'm not going to say it no more. Ithaca. I said it. And through an internship program, he relocated to Los Angeles, California. And it's in Los Angeles that he has spent the majority of his time. So while he's been here, he's had the opportunity to have a multi-platinum career, and it has flourished over time. He even had the opportunity to work in entertainment, from entertainment to corporate management, and he simultaneously grew in ministry as a mentor, worship leader, and youth pastor. He's also acquired his master's of arts in theology from Fuller. Holla at your girl, because I want to go to Fuller. So I need everybody that knows somebody that can get a prayer through. I got a 4.0 in seminary. Somebody holla at me. God bless you. But the most important thing, he became the pastor of First Timothy Missionary Baptist Church in Los Angeles, California, where he is serving this historic yet emerging church. I am so excited to introduce this friend to you, but there is more in 2020. Come on, somebody say 2020, we still being blessed. He obtained, get ready, y'all, his doctoral degree. He completed his doctoral studies in a joint program with the New Theological Seminary of the West and the New York Theological Seminary. And his studies focused on the unique experience of bivocational pastors. Now, okay, he's going to have to come back and talk about that because I have something to say about that. That's all I ever saw my father do. And so, never mind, I ain't going to start nothing. Let me finish introducing the man of God. Anyway, this is my friend. This is a dear brother, someone that I highly respect, and I do not take his friendship lightly. Please help me welcome to the platform, to the village, the one and the only Dr. Wayne Hopkins.
I'm not worthy. First of all, hail to the Queen, Lady Francesca, Minister, Pastor, Reverend Francesca. I appreciate those kind words. I'm mostly familiar with the person you're talking about. I appreciate that.
Good
When
one,
you went back to Mark, waiting for the choir to get there, you already
sir.
know
Strike up the
Tuesday
organ.
night. It was either going to be on a Tuesday night, Wednesday, or Thursday at Holy
Yes,
Chapel. And
yes,
I don't know whatever was going on other than when y'all
yes,
was going to be there. So that's all I'm
man.
going to say. The dream team of you and your parents. And I just have to say this. I honor them because
Thank
growing
you.
up in the church as we did, growing up, understanding the sacrifices of ministry intimately, and to still
Absolutely.
walk into it in our adulthood, knowing what we were about to get into.
Yes.
I applaud you because you have certainly experienced some different things, as in ministry. And you talking about getting to Fuller, they open, they're ready for you. So
Oh,
if you
I don't know
just
if
be
I'm ready
ready.
for them, Bishop.
Well,
I don't.
well, that's okay. It's
Oh.
okay. I got another school for you, New Theological Seminary of the West. So I'm gonna recommend that. But we'll come back. I just wanted to say thank you for having me on the program. It is always an honor to share in fellowship and ministry with you. I've been watching your program. I tune into the conversations too. That's me putting all those hearts on there.
Thank
I'm
you.
screaming most of the time because there's no way to be around you and not have a smile on your face. And
Thank you,
I'm gonna
sir.
just say this one last little bit of introductorial encouragement. Let God lead you and use you, and enjoy yourself in the process.
Thank
Nobody's going to
you.
be following some sad sack who doesn't know how to have fun in the Lord. And now you get to do what you do, and be
Thank
blessed as
you.
you bless people. So keep at it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I need some hand claps and stuff. I'm
Come on
growing.
now.
I'm grassroots. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. But so how have you been? How's this pandemic been treating you? What has ministry been like? What you want to tell me?
Well, first, giving honor to God, who is the head of my life.
Oh, Basha.
Uh,
Yeah.
and on behalf of my church family, First Timothy Missionary Baptist Church there, 110221 Wilmington, some of them might be tuning in. God has blessed us to continue. This is our
Yes.
coming into our 69th year. Next year will be our 70th. We're
Wow.
online now through Zoom worship digitally. We've been under renovation. There's been a lot happening in the body of the church, but I'm honored to serve as pastor during this pandemic time. At first, I think everybody was shaken by it.
Yes.
But what I realize is that God has called us into this moment. And those of us who are active, serving, at whatever stage we are in life, we've got a purpose in this thing. And
Absolutely.
I'm just grateful. I say it in my secular side, I'm grateful for the grind, but that's the
Hmm.
spinoff of being grateful for the journey. Because I like that song, Order My Steps, because I don't
Yes.
want to be stuck. As long as I got
Yes.
a next step, I'm fine, even if it's only one. Because
Absolutely.
sometimes it's that one step that makes the difference in a person's life. And in times like these, we might only get one step. So why not make it the one that God gives to you? So.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. I think that although I think we've made some adjustments now,
Mm-hmm.
I think that we've kind of found our footing a little bit, and it
Yeah.
seems like it's. But the thing is, every time it looks like we're finding our footing,
Mm-hmm.
then here comes another curveball.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think if anything, we've just learned we have to remain flexible no matter what, no matter
Flexible. We gotta put that faith into action. I mean, a lot of us
exactly
who've been in church have spent a lot of time talking about when things like this would happen.
right.
Being prepared has been a part of our. Some would say it's been a part of our liturgy. It's been a part of our praxis. And then we always get surprised when it actually comes to pass.
Yes,
But there's no surprises. Reverend Kevin Anderson says God never says, "Whoop." He's never surprised about this stuff.
exactly.
So we shouldn't be surprised that things are going to come. We shouldn't be surprised that our faith is going to be tested. As
Absolutely.
human beings, we shouldn't be surprised when stuff happens, when other people do stuff, when circumstances get out of our control. The only difference is if we call ourselves believers and we
Yes.
panic the same way as everybody else. What's
Yes.
that about? We can't do that. So I think what is happening is there's been a shaking and a sifting. God says he's going to separate. uh,
Yes.
and so it's not a matter of pointing a finger at who's got it wrong. It's saying,
Right.
Lord, fix me. And if we're willing to do that as we are shaken, if we are stirred, it's going to stir up the gift, you know?
Absolutely. You are absolutely right. So, I wanted to talk about self-care, right?
Yes.
And if I'm just completely honest,
Mm-hmm.
when this whole week has been beyond stressful for me.
One of them weeks for many of us. I won't say
I
all, but many of us. Yes.
I just it seemed like, and I knew an attack was coming, especially
Mhm.
after Sunday morning.
Oh yeah.
It was a good service.
Yes.
Uh, God used me, and not only did He use me to speak to others, but it gave me the opportunity to really talk to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed that whenever I've had an opportunity to minister in any way, shape, form, or fashion, and God gets the glory out of it, or somebody is tremendously blessed by it, I get attacked.
Uh-huh.
And so on Monday, I had a tire blowout on the freeway,
Mm, mm,
and that meant that I just had some work and stuff done to the car. So that means it's a whole nother issue or things of happening. On top of, I'm preparing for the CBES. I
mm-hmm.
have to do the math section. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, but all of this comes on the heels of such great news of being accepted into national for my master's, right? So, but of
Amen.
course, that's another financial obligation.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like I take a few steps forward, I get extremely excited, and then all of a sudden, here comes another hit.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the past couple of days, it was hard for me to even decide like, what's the topic? What do I want to talk about? I
Oh,
like
yeah.
to be prepared. I like to have
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
in order, and it was like, Fran, just stop for a minute. Just stop stressing, slow down. I cried. And it was one of those,
Hey,
I haven't cried in a while because I hold
happens.
everything. And it was like, I gotta let this go, or I'm gonna literally go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then it hit me. I normally on Sundays after church, I would go get my massage. That was my thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how I would start my week off. Haven't been able to do that because of the pandemic, and I didn't know that certain places or even my favorites were even open. So here I am in that case. Nails are not done, so haven't been doing that. I'll just, put a little, look, buff them and put a little nail strengthener on them and
Hey,
pray,
right,
you know,
right.
put
Keep
a
the
little,
cracking away, right?
hello, put a little oil around the cuticles, so they don't look so dead. I'm not a mortician, so I'm not saying morticians have bad hands. So let me just stop. But anyway,
Ah,
um, I'm just saying, dead people, dead hands. No, no, too
I
much,
love it.
too soon. Okay, I'll stop. No, I'm just saying. But so it's like there are other things aside from the cosmetic things of life.
Yeah, yeah.
There are other things that you can do. So when I finally decided, okay, I'm talking about self-care, that's what I want to talk about. I started prepping everything, and then I finish up, pack everything up, make it home, and then I get a notification that Doc Hop 2020 has gone live with Max. And I said, okay. Well, I just clicked it on. Let me be supportive. So I'm watching it, and then all of
Appreciate
a sudden, you guys
that.
start talking about self care, talking
Yep.
about being an entrepreneur and what all it takes to manage these things. And I'm like, is he? Who's it? Is it? How did he
I was not
know?
peeking in your window, Reverend. I was not
Thank
doing
you.
it.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I literally did a look behind me type thing. And, it just really caught me off guard. But then it was like, psst, that's God. Like, that
Mm,
I'm trying to let you know you're on the right path. And then we get to talk, Wayne. And then you tell me that was part of your dissertation. And I'm
yes,
sitting here like, okay,
yes.
now I'm nervous, like, uh, okay, sweet Jesus, I see you. I see your
Call him.
hand.
Hey.
I see your hand. So I said all of that to
Yes.
say,
It's
good,
all
that was a
right.
mouthful. But I said all of that to say, uh, it touched my heart that God loves me enough to
Yes.
send those type of messages. That's one. And two, I'm grateful that you were willing to be a part of this
Sure.
conversation and to share your perspective on what self-care looks like. So I'm gonna hush and I'm gonna let you go.
Well, thank you.
God
And
bless you.
listen, first of all, when you find yourself Oh wow, you went away. Okay.
Because I'm not talking. I'm just listening. Hallelujah.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I'm gonna just say this: when you find yourself reminded
Hmm.
that you too need a savior, that you need God, that you need something more than what you have right now. Yes, that is the way God communicates to us, not to give us a hard time, not to make us feel guilty, but just a reminder that He is here. He is with us, Emmanuel, God with us. And when we talk about self care, think of it this way: self care is one of the many terms that people, human beings, especially in our hyperdrive American workaholic society, we have to
Hmm.
make up these words to begin to compensate for the things that are challenging to us that we can't conquer with sheer determination and will and telling, just putting it out there in the atmosphere that this is what I want to happen. And, we've got this very commanding personality. We have this
Yes.
idea that things need to be chop, chop, efficient, do this, do that. And life doesn't always work that way. Our bodies don't work that way. The
Absolutely.
first and foremost element of self care comes from God Himself.
Yes.
It's called Sabbath. Okay. If we
Yes.
are really about who God is and we observe Sabbath, even in the smallest way, it's not about saying what you can't do on Sunday or Saturday for our Seventh day Adventist folks. It's not about restriction, it's about the freedom to allow
Yes.
our bodies to reset, restore, and refresh themselves in a way that they need to do. We think, well,
Yes.
I need 8 hours of sleep. I'm going to get 3 or 4 and figure it out with coffee and whatnot. Or we'll say, I'm resting with downtime. Now, I'm not talking to anybody except for Wayne Hopkins first. Okay. If you want to
Hello.
talk about having broken every rule against self care, you looking at it. Okay. Before I was a bivocational pastor, I was a creative person, came to California in the gig economy. They call it gig economy now, but that really started with musicians and artists and performers and people who had to go from performance to performance, job to job, just to keep the food on the table. So
Exactly.
working and having a strong work ethic has always been good, but God always prepared and made us, designed us to take care of ourselves, to rest. So
Right.
if we start with Sabbath, then we have to go to the other parts of that. Part of Sabbath always included a form of fasting. Well, we're Baptists for the most part, so Baptists ain't good at fasting, and our
No,
Pentecostal
sir.
friends talk about it, but it's hard for
Yes.
them too. Uh, the
Tell the
only
truth,
people I know
shame the
that do it
devil.
really. Exactly. My friends who are in the Eastern Coptic Church, they got a festival for everything and a fast for everything. So I've
Okay.
learned about that from them. But the thing is, when you fast, that allows your body to recover, your digestive system to reset itself, to
Yes.
let certain things go. Now, people that know me, they tease me. People give me bacon gifts because they know I'm going to go for a crispy strip almost any time. And
Now come
and
on now.
the fact
Are
that
you
I
no, 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 you don't get to run by
guilty.
that. You don't get to run by that. So are you one of those bacon maple donut eaters?
That's a bit much because I have had one because I had to try it, but I will
Bacon and ice
sacrifice.
cream?
No,
Okay,
but
God bless you.
bacon dipped in dark chocolate down here at Manhattan Creamery in Manhattan Beach. If you want to just have your life blessed real hard, I mean, I'm just saying. But when we step away from certain things, even food wise, God built that
Yes,
into the plan for rest. The last
yes,
little piece for now. Jesus said, I'll give you rest. Come to
yes,
me that labor, I'll
yes,
give you rest. So as we churchy folk, busy folk, whatever, and I got a quiz for you in a second. So
yes, sir.
because part of what happens is we go so hard, we go so long, we're deep, we're in, we're committed, we never want to say no. Okay.
Right.
And what happens is we take on additional occupations. We
Mm-hmm.
give everything such a heavy weight of responsibility on ourselves. And what that does is, even when you would rest from one thing, you fill up the time with something else. When you are so faithful that everybody only knows you for being faithful and not
Yes,
just for being Fran, even though they
yes,
know that part of you that is the personality, And the reason that I was able to discover that, or the Lord revealed it to me, I say, was that I heard people, oh, I'm in my bed and it would be 8 o'clock. I'm like, how? My day was not ending until 11 or 12 or later.
Yes.
And they're like, well, I'm up here, I'm just watching my movies. I'm like, okay, are you on the computer? Are you on the iPad? You must be producing something. No, I'm chilling out. And then I remember the time when I was able to do that. And
Yeah.
gradually over time, I made the choice to make that less of a priority because I was so worried about productivity. But there
Absolutely.
is productivity in resting your body if you ever get to the point or push your body to the point where the Lord has to stop you, or out of his grace he stops you when he makes you lie down in green pastures. Okay,
That part.
that's a deliberate thing. And
Yes.
when that happens, you will then learn how your body is restored like building blocks. If you look at a
Yes.
pixelated picture, those little squares, you know what the picture is? You can still identify it, but it's not the complete picture. And we
Right.
deny ourselves our complete picture of how God sees us, how he wants to see us, how he wants us to flourish. He promised us an abundant life before the eternal life. So a whole lot of us are working ourselves to death thinking,
Yeah.
well, if I die, I'm dying in service. Servant well done. Get that when you are tan, rested, and ready at
See?
125 looking good.
Exactly.
Instead of the Lord scooping you up in a dustbin, and saying, thank you for your hard work. I wish I could have used you even more
Further.
if you taken
Yes.
care of the vessel I gave you to operate in.
Right. Right. That's honestly it that made me take inventory of what I've been doing over the pandemic. I started off with
Oh,
such
yeah.
great ideas,
Oh,
such
yeah.
great uh concepts. I was
Uh-huh.
sitting here thinking I'm going to use this time to lose weight. I picked up all the weight that I lost 3 years ago and probably a little bit extra. Just I'm carrying it different. So I'm like, okay, we got to start the process all over again. But the good thing is I know where to start.
Yeah.
Um, I know where to start. I just don't feel like starting. So
Mhm.
it's one of those. Sometimes self care is it's even more so a matter of you got to do what's needed for your own health, like you said, so that God can use you and use
Yes.
your vessel. And my thing, and what I feel like I'm getting down to the wire, honestly, if I'm just completely honest,
Yeah.
simply because I don't want it to be one of those. I have to make these drastic changes
Hmm.
because now there are ailments, there are illnesses,
Right.
it's
Right.
all these other things jumping off. And so I think sometimes. For me, I think sometimes I'm always on I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll get to it
Yeah.
tomorrow. And I know that tomorrow might not come. I grew up with the whinings. So I
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
know the song, you know. See, you got me
Okay.
with
See, I
order
know
my
we don't go to
steps.
music, but see,
Listen, you
woo,
got me yesterday with order my steps. So if so
you can tell that story. That was a blessing to me too. But I
no,
couldn't help
it's not, I don't know what was happening. I don't even want to talk about it right now because I don't want the issue to happen with the live feed. Oh, bless
Right.
his
Right. I
name.
got you. Okay.
So
Yes. Yes. You're right. I will
we'll
leave that
tell that
alone.
story at 7:55. Okay. Uh,
Yes.
but no, I'm serious. It's living with the idea that because I have so much to do
Yeah.
that I'm gonna get to it, and
Hmm.
then when you shut down, you're not gonna get to anything.
Hmm.
So it's like something has to be a priority, and I feel like, and I'm just being honest, this almost feels like a live therapy session. But I
Well,
know
hey.
but I'm having the conversation because I know that there are others that are overworking themselves. They're in
Sure.
ministry, they're in leadership, they are
Hmm.
carrying mantles,
Oh yeah.
mantles that they did not ask
Yeah.
for, mantles that were literally strapped on them as they came out the womb. Okay. So
Hmm.
it's kind of like there are those like myself that you feel like if you stop, everything is gonna stop. And there's also another piece to it.
Hmm.
I realized that if I don't entertain the idea of self-care now,
Yeah.
I'm gonna the maturity that I have gained, I'm
Hmm.
gonna lose because I used to be extremely bitter when I
Hmm.
would see how church people would just up and go out of town. They're just gone. Quite, can I
Ah.
come down that street real fast? I would get so upset when it was like, you know, uh, We got choir annual days coming up. How can you manage to always take your trip
Mhm.
when it's something major going on and
No, we
we
got
need,
something going
you
on.
know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
We need everybody to be there. What is the purpose of having a church calendar? What is the purpose of having any of these things if you're not going to watch this,
Mhm.
work your schedule around God's
Yeah.
schedule?
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
that's when they go, well, that ain't God. That's just church antics. That's just church fellowship. That's this and that's that. No, honey, come on now. Let's do a little bit better. Let's just be honest. You found something else to do, and now you're just not making yourself available. But it was one of those, as I got older,
Yeah.
but you do have to take a break.
Yeah.
You do have to step away. And I have a good pastor friend who's Lutheran,
Mhm.
and they believe in sabbaticals.
Oh
Oh,
yes.
oh, bless God. He will up jump the boogie.
Paid sabbaticals.
Listen,
Okay.
that that part, but he will
Yes.
jump the boogie and be on a sabbatical for a month or two and come back so refreshed and
Yeah.
talking about how anxious he is to preach. And I'm sitting here like I'd be anxious too if I'd been sitting on the beach in Cabo or, just sitting at home attending bedside Baptist.
Well,
So
let me jump in here, Reverend, because
please.
this is where a lot of folks do have trouble because there are some cultural elements that I think
Yes.
we finally have an opportunity to bring balance.
Yes.
Culturally, in African American communities, I mean this is not to say how we are wired to biology, but
Right.
the history of our nation and our experience has just required certain things. The majority of our church experience is born from a bygone era, okay?
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that helped our people to survive were literal survival tactics when the church was literally under fire for Black people simply gathering to worship, when
Absolutely.
literacy and reading were being taught, when the Black colleges were being founded so that African Americans could learn, not just to read and be better servants, but to be independent citizens and so forth. And whenever I hear people talking about going back to certain things, that's such a horrible insult because it means that the good parts of our history are not valuable to them any more than the good parts of our present.
Yeah.
And then when you get into the church space, yeah, there's church has not been perfect because it's filled with
No,
imperfect people, and
absolutely.
and where people, I had to explain this to some people once. I said African American people had to wear uniforms almost in every area of their life. It was only in church where they could wear their clothes and be seen
Yes.
as Mr. and Mrs. and get the respect
Respect.
of having leadership. And I have a position. That's why being a deacon, becoming a pastor, being a
It
first
was a
lady,
big
missionary, a
deal.
teacher, or those were very real societal positions that because it only happened in the church or primarily in the church or in our organizations, no one
Mhm.
else peeked in to look at that. They didn't care. So what that did was that added so much extra burden in the church as it became the institution that survived and still kind of crossed all the cross sections. Your sororities and fraternities, they come into the business world, but they come from colleges. When people
Yes.
are in the workforce and they're
Yes.
maybe, more laborers or whatever, they're still able to do those things, in social spaces, but the church kind of still brings everybody together. So that sense of obligation got to be heavier and weightier. But the problem with that was that the world got smaller. Okay.
Yes.
As churches integrated or the non-denominational thing movement happened,
Mhm.
modernization, technology, all the things that at this moment everybody's on equal playing ground. And that's why a lot of us don't really know what to do. If we're on Zoom for an hour and church is over and we've accomplished every single thing in our worship, we've sung, we prayed, we've had a great message, all this kind of stuff, and we have the free time that we
Yes.
watched other people, okay, have without reservation, without obligations, without, what are you doing Sunday? Whenever people would
Right.
ask me that, I too, I don't know if I would use the word bitter, but I would kind of be like, if you know me, you know what I do on Sundays. Why would you even ask me a question like that? But now I have to untangle some of those knots in my own eyebrows because
Yes.
it's like, you know what? I get to make some decisions now that I couldn't make before.
Right.
And when you talk about the resentment or whatnot, I had to realize also And this happened before I became a pastor now.
Mm-hmm.
And if any of my former church family is watching, don't get mad all over again, but understand
All
when
over
I
again.
when I learned how to take just a little time off for myself, and it wasn't even that I was taking these great long trips or anything, it was unscheduled time. That's a big element of self-care for a busy person, especially if you're a multi-platform professional like myself, where you got job, position, obligation, duty. If you just have unscheduled time, that is a massive element to your self-care because you get to choose. Being organized is great. That is a part of the skill set that you have for self-care, but you also have to build it in for yourself. Let me give you your
Mm-hmm.
quiz real quick because I don't want to take up all the time. So just
Okay.
tell me off the top of your head, how many jobs do you have?
Oh.
Honest
Uh.
answer.
Oh, Jamaica, I had 2 or 3 jobs. I know my rude boy. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, mother. Before you answer, I'm gonna help you out because I know we didn't practice this.
uh,
But I'm gonna say, yes, there's your full time, there's your part
yes.
time, then there's the my time. Okay, now the my time usually gets to be the one that's more flexible because we'll work ourselves in, and if we don't, I'll do it tomorrow. That happens all the time. You get bounced. Now, if
Right.
we're honest, look at those who have children. Our children have become a job. They always were, though, because a job to me is not just something that you go punch a clock for. It's
Yes.
something that you put in a certain amount of time and effort and energy, and it
Right.
does pay you something. It might not be
Right.
cash, but you are basically working for your children. They're little bosses because you got to feed them, you got to put stuff together, you got to get their, you know, for me, I looked at some of my friends who have now grown children who are taller than me, and because they outgrew me, I say they're older than me now because I'm still retaining my youthfulness. Amen.
Hallelujah.
But when they were getting their phone at 14, 15, 16, I couldn't even get a plug-in phone in the wall when I lived in my mama's house.
Say
And
it for the people in the back. That
and I'm like,
they
how is
don't
that
know. This
possible?
no, because this generation don't know about that. So
And,
let them know back there.
and when I got my phone, I was paying for it out of my money that I worked for and my this, my this, my that. But see, that's what started that incessant work ethic that
Yeah.
you say the new generation doesn't have. So look at if you have kids, that's a job. If you are active in your church, you might not have a position, but if you are a faithful church member, we love faithful those who show up for choir rehearsal, those who show up for Bible study, those who show up for the meeting, those who make it an obligation. We appreciate that. That is a job. I would say for you, when you have things in your life that you are committed to, even if it involves like your friends, your friend group, and I'm stretching out of the church space because people get drained just
Yes.
by doing what they call living their life. And they
Yes.
will be doing stuff, but not really living their best life. So, what you have to do is evaluate
Guilty.
all of your jobs, acknowledge them in all your ways as you acknowledge him in all your ways. And if you recognize what each job pays you, am I
Yes.
getting paid with love and respect here? Am I getting cash out of this? Am I getting a fulfillment? You taking on school. I took on school. Uh, how did this go? At one point I had school work church. That's while I was at Fuller. Then because I had set aside my entertainment career. So I had school
Mm-hmm.
work church for like 5 years solid. Then I started a new job. So I had corporate America. I had the church, which was I had 2 full jobs even in church doing the music and youth ministry. That's 2 full jobs. You got
Yes.
at least 3 jobs in the church yourself, ma'am.
I
Okay.
was I was
If we're
trying not to
honest.
say all of that. Listen, like I said last night, when you a PK, you do what you gotta do. And you
And,
just
and and
go
and
with
what
the
was my
flow.
problem? I was a pastor's nephew. I was the organist son. I should have been the biggest fool. I should have had listen, but because I was trying to
Pineapple.
be
Pineapple.
faithful, trying to be. But anyway, let me finish my little spiel. So,
Yes, sir.
you evaluate your jobs, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And when you are faced with the reality of what each thing pays you, okay,
Mm-hmm.
then you can really prioritize. Now, people say prioritize, and they say this: set it and forget it. Try that with
Yeah.
your car. Try to set it and forget it. Hold your steering wheel in one place and you mash the gas as hard as you can. No, you got to steer. Okay.
Yes.
So if you look at your life as you navigate these things, it's okay to have, like this week for me was crazy, but it was the best kind of crazy. 2 speaking engagements and then the honor of being on television with you. Hey, this is awesome. But I still had my job with a board meeting coming up. So I had to produce documents. I still have my church
Right.
service to prepare for. I had a Bible study that I had to study for. And I'm going to just say
Right.
this on behalf of all of us pastory preacher types. People, they look at the glasses, they look at the cars, they look at the, these wonderful pictures that some people put out there. And on the receiving end, people say they have the perfect life. Guess what? It takes a whole lot to put that
Listen.
on. Okay.
Hallelujah.
And if you are a person who is not going to just phone it in, or every Sunday you're going to read a few verses and tune up without any teaching or any, I ain't talking about nobody. I'm just exposing to the people there is work that you can't see. You can't
Right.
see the sweat. You can't see the tears. You can't see the labor when you're reading a passage over and over and over again because you were called to it and the Lord still ain't revealing what he wants you to tell the people out of it yet because you need to read it one more time. And you can't put that on the clock. You can't put that in your check,
No, you
but it still
cannot.
pays you. So
Yes.
when you evaluate all those things and you make your priority list, then you say, hey, as I navigate, my priorities have to adjust, hopefully as the Spirit leads. But even if you only on practical, if Tuesday is my crazy day at work and I know I'm going to have to encounter this person, these people, or
Right.
whatever, I do it one or two ways. I say either I get the big things out of the way and focus and get that out of the way, make that happen, dig in, or I take the little stuff and I start click, 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 because that helps our productivity mindset. If I'm getting a bunch of stuff done, when I do get to that big boulder that I got to move,
Right.
then I'm ready for it because I'm already kind of in the space. Now, I say you have to be flexible with it because each day is going to give you a different set of needs and you have a different set of skills for it. The last little piece here is 4 little things. When you apply your discernment, that's the other thing. Self-care usually gets neglected because we're so busy trying to figure everything out to fit in our little boxes. And those of us who are spiritual ought to know that we have a God who loves us, who
Yes.
speaks to us, who through the Spirit intercedes for us with the groanings that cannot be uttered. When I was in the middle of driving Uber till 2 or 3 in the morning, okay, after going on
Wow.
a job, okay, after going to my choir rehearsals and my meetings and trying to pastor my church, okay, one of those jobs went away and it wasn't the church and it wasn't Uber. The highest paying job went away through a corporate acquisition. So that meant I had to
Wow.
fill in, I had to find more work to keep my lights on. I couldn't preach or minister any less. I couldn't just say I'm not available for this or that. So what I had to do was I had to go through a period. I call it the wilderness. So I drove through that wilderness. That's why I ain't got no tires on my car now. And when I woke up in the hospital that day, just over a year ago, I said, okay, maybe this is time for me to slow it down. And when I did, I found myself hearing the Lord say stuff that I had heard on the road. I had heard in the office before I took my little box away, before the severance ran out. I heard the same things coming to me, but it came through loud and clear. One was trust me, okay? And the next one is if I was going to bring you this far, okay, why would you take this particular detour? Okay.
Right.
And so when I came out of the hospital within days, I wasn't even going to testify. And I said I wasn't going to tell nobody, but I walked into a new temporary job, okay,
Yeah.
that I've been full time on for over a year now, okay.
Amen.
I had to look at, well, if I drive and, people, oh, pastors should be driving. Hey,
Are
if
you gonna pay his bills? Are you gonna increase the salary? Are you gonna
what
actually do what the Levitical priest said to? Okay, don't get me started.
And my thing is, Jesus, you never saw that he closed his carpentry shop. He just did different things with the nails after a certain point. Okay. So, you know,
Thank
what
you.
I did was I listened and some doors were opening. I said, well, if I drive Uber, that's the easiest legal money a brother can make. I'll leave that alone too. But
Ding
I
ding
said,
ding.
I'm not going to be doing it to know 2 or 3 in the morning because I can't do
Right.
that.
Right.
And then for a certain time, I couldn't drive at all. So what I had to do was I had to realize I have resources. I have stock. I have things in my life. I have people in my life. I have places and things that I have built up and stored up. Those treasures are not for me to lay up just to be there around me when I pass. So I had to
Exactly.
make some calls and get a little help. I had to make some calls and say, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do this or that anymore. I had to do, when you say inventory on my Instagram, I say END inventory. At the end of the day, at the end of the week on Fridays, I do
Yes.
inventory. Take stock of what you learned, what you built, what you might have messed up, what you might never need to touch again. But be
Right.
honest with that so you're not dragging baggage into the new places God is trying to take you, but you can't go because you're too tired. Can't go because you're too heavy laden, okay? Can't go because you worked yourself into a pulp and not allowed him to creating you that clean heart, not
Yeah,
allowed him to do what he's going to do.
absolutely. And one of the things that you touched on
Yeah.
about that unscheduled time,
Oh, yeah.
uh
Gold, platinum,
yes.
diamonds.
You know what? It's a completely different mood,
Mhm.
vibe, because you feel like you stole the time away,
Oh yeah. Oh, you're gonna
Uh,
feel guilty. Self-care, you will feel guilty and
and
blame
that's the
yourself.
part.
Fight
That's
it.
the part that I don't think is healthy, when
Yeah.
people make you feel guilty because you're doing it. And then watch this. I had to realize, being a choir director,
Oh yeah.
uh being over youth departments, when parents had other obligations and kids couldn't come, or different things like that, it used to bother me, because I'm like, see, church was such a priority for me
Oh
growing
yeah.
up.
Mhm.
I already knew Saturday morning, I get up, eat breakfast, watch my cartoons, and get dressed for choir rehearsal, or get dressed for junior usher board rehearsal. Like, what else was there to do? I didn't think about go. You see what I'm saying? Learning all of the signs. Don't play. Bring you off the floor. One come, two go. Don't play.
Yes. I
But
love that.
I'm just saying. But this was just good upbringing for me. But it just troubled me that as I began to get older, and I would look around and I'm looking like, why isn't this a priority for anybody else?
Oh
And
yeah.
so I had to work my way out of that.
Yeah.
And watch this. Let God be God.
Yeah.
Worry about
Oh,
myself.
preach to
Okay.
me. All
I'm
right.
just saying, let God be God. There have been so many things, and that's just it. On Sunday, I talked about the prodigal son, talked about how, the one that stayed. I love that
Yes.
story
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
love preaching it from different perspectives,
Hmm.
because oftentimes everybody just focuses on the prodigal son and
Yeah.
him taking all of the inheritance and going out with his lascivious ways, but nobody ever pays attention to the brother that stayed,
Hmm.
because when the father divided everything, he
Yeah.
divided everything, but
Yeah.
the older brother stayed home,
Hmm.
and then we saw that bitterness. We saw what that looked like when
Hmm.
he remained home. He continued to till the field. He continued
Hmm.
to maintain his father's crops, do whatever needed to be done, while his other brother is just out there doing whatever
Out
he
there.
wants to
Hmm.
do, and
Hmm.
found himself in a in a sloth, and now a trough, excuse me, and now he wants to come home, and I'm not even worthy. He had his whole speech together that he wasn't worthy and all this
Come
stuff.
on.
You know what I'm saying? And he comes home, and the father is so happy to see him that he throws a party.
Yeah.
And so then when the brother finds out that dad's throwing a party for the son that left, the
Yeah.
brother's like, "What
Yeah.
do you? I stayed. I was
Your
here the whole."
son.
You
Your
know,
son has come back.
you know.
They
It's like,
said it.
don't let's not get all excited. Yeah, he my brother now, but that's your kid, okay?
Hmm.
And so I understood what that bitterness felt like,
Yeah.
because I'm still working. I'm here. I'm doing what needs to be done, and
Mhm.
everybody else gets to walk away, and everybody else's parents get to let them do whatever. So it was like, whoa, wait a minute, you
Yeah.
putting your issues on somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when that weight and pressure began to press down on my shoulders, and that was the problem, because it's like, but I'm carrying this, and it's not just church. And please don't get me wrong, especially for my Holy Mount Calvary people that are
Oh yeah.
listening. I do not see my church as a burden, but I'm human. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna have feelings. And when you see people that just do whatever they want to do, and it's not just, it wasn't just my church. I see
Mhm.
this all across the board. I
Sure.
see it with people at work that didn't take their job seriously, but then that means somebody else has to pick up the slack.
Dominate has to pick that up. Yep.
you know, and being in and being in leadership,
Mhm.
even at work or in any other capacity that I serve in, being my own boss now, you know, it's like I have to set time aside to really put things into perspective. And it really left me this week feeling so empty, like
Mm.
I got so much writing on this test. I got so
Yeah.
much writing on me getting into school. You know, there's so many great things happening. I feel like I'm still cramming my head with knowledge, but what am I doing for myself
Yeah.
and to my village? That's what I wanted Dr. Hopkins to share with you all along with me in regards to what we have to do. And so if you've gathered nothing else from this conversation,
Yeah.
you know, we got to bring it full circle. If you've gathered nothing else, you have to stop. First of all, stop feeling guilty for
Yes.
realizing that you do
Definitely.
need this time.
Oh yeah.
Because I just got word, and I keep, you know, keeping names and everything confidential. I
Sure.
just got word that one of my friends was
Mm.
in the hospital 2 weeks ago
Mm-hmm.
with pain and anxiety.
Mm.
And then when I stopped and thought about it, you know, as the person was talking to me, it hit me that I had seen a couple of things where they were posting about, you know, check on people. You never know what type of depression they're dealing with. And it's
Oh
like
yeah. Yeah.
the signs were there,
Mm-hmm.
but so busy worrying about other things that we missed those things. So another part of self-care is check on your friends.
Oh
Check
yes.
on the people
Definitely.
that hold pieces of your heart. You know, sometimes all you need is a conversation with someone to let you know that while you sitting here beating up on yourself, there's somebody who's way worse off. And that's not to make you feel better
Yeah.
because you're better than somebody, but it's to help you put things in perspective that you're
Yes.
not the only one,
Right.
that you're
Now,
not crazy for feeling this way, you know?
well, see, that I gotta elevate that, as my professor say. You gotta
Please,
elevate that. Okay.
please.
First and foremost, um, I'll say it personally, and then as we share it, you got to listen to your body. We've got
Yes.
to listen to our body, because now, see, this is where, again, um, society overrides a lot of things, and I'm trying to be obedient and not be out of order, but I'm gonna just say it. There's a lot that we see in our media, in imagery, that is so nice, but it's not designed for us. A
Yes.
whole, and now I say this off because, a lot of people, they want this great romantic fantasy, and I'm like, okay, if you look at the Princess in the Tower, okay, unfortunately that was not designed with any of us in mind, except that we were the evil dragon in the Black Knight. Okay,
Huh,
they were trying to protect it has
tell the truth, shame
racist
the
roots,
devil. Yes.
just internationally. So the thing is,
Yes.
when we start to talk about wanting to live in certain fantasies, at the very least, let's look at what God has promised to us, that we can have, that we do have access to. Of course, I'm not against chivalry. I'm not against none of that stuff. But some of the imageries of what stuff is supposed to look like, only now are they starting to be more inclusive.
Yes.
So if you don't have the support in your nuclear family, I look at when I was in the midst of all that I was saying, when I was sick and this, that, and the other, my mother, okay, Mother Hopkins, she
God
says to
bless you, Mother
me,
Hopkins.
God bless you, Mama. She says, you realize you're not the first person around here to have 2 or 3 jobs, right? I'm like, whoop. And she's like, yeah, remember? Because I would pick you up from school and we'd go, and I had choir rehearsal. I had this, I had PTA meeting. She taught school. I had to go here. I had to go here. You were dragged around and
Oh,
got some of the
Jesus.
skills you got because Mama was working so hard. And now, see, that sparked two things. Because at first I was like, let me get up from here and get back to work, because I can't have my 70-something-year-old mama showing me up and I'm up here falling apart.
Hello.
But the other part of that was, she was sharing that to say, you didn't know how hard I was working, because I was able to focus, make sure that you had what you needed. I might have been a little burned out, but there were some times you went to grandma's house because mama needed to sit still and not
Yeah.
have to worry about whether you had, Pop-Tarts or not. Mama needed those moments where if you had been there, see, they don't, whole bunch of y'all kids need a whooping or at least a good talking to, okay? And again, I ain't talking to nobody specific. I'm just saying, because that's what we got, and hey, we got to pay it for. No,
No.
but we got to listen to our bodies. And if we're honest about what our bodies tell us, the self-care is going to be to give our body an honest response. We are most often the prodigal as we separate our bodies, our physical, human needs from our great agendas to go out and do. And our wantonness might be noble wantonness, meaning that I'm going to throw myself in so deep. But there's so many people, plenty preachers' kids, who say their mama was a single parent because they never saw the dad, or vice versa. Whichever parent was the pastor. That's something that cannot continue. So many pastors have died as the coronavirus began. Pastors have been dying in pulpits or right after they preach a good sermon, the Lord takes them on. They don't get to enjoy that retirement. They don't get to have that time where they're on their beach or whatever. So we cannot be so earthly minded, heavenly minded that we know earthly good.
Yes, sir.
And then the other piece of that is, as we listen to our body, as we prioritize each day what we really need, what we really genuinely need to accomplish, what we need to set aside, what we need to allow others to do. Again, culturally, a lot of our church practices have been just that, practices, because we're holding on so tight because that's what mom and them and grandma and them did. I'm sure if they had the resources that we have, they might have expanded into some other things. If the world wasn't crushing in around them with systematic racism and all those other things, if they'd been invited to the table, they probably would have been able to institute paid sabbaticals, and they would have been able to have, a whole lot of people are pastoring themselves to death because they can't afford to do anything else. So that's why if you are a bivocational pastor, make sure you expand to at least one more platform that's not somebody's check. It's your own business. It's your enterprise that's paying you directly, something that you and your family maybe can invest in or grow. Get to the point where your education allows you to write those books and get those royalties. Or as this show spins off, as Netflix picks it up and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? When we decide that all we want is in this tiny little box, what God do you serve that lives in a tiny little box? My God is bigger than that. Okay, I do all that, but we have to remember.
Though I heard it.
I'm just saying, we got to remember that part of the reason that when we do feel burdened, okay, those burdens are not to oppress us. They are to remind us that we must look up. Even as your prodigal son, perfect example of one who was going out to do all he can, probably because the dad did have rules and order, and we're going to do this, do that. You got to take that time away so that if nothing else, you can appreciate, okay, and how you
learn something.
Gotta learn something. And when you come back, you can see how God can use you. One of the last things I'm going to say, because I know we run out of time, transition. I prayed for a long time. I prayed two things. I said, Lord, I just want one job. Everybody else got one job. I could never see how I could survive on one job. So I just kept, working in this multiple phase. And I said, Lord, I just want one job. Now I prayed that on the verge of becoming a pastor. And then I was like, oh, Lord, I don't know if I can, because it wasn't that what the church does, because my church takes very good care of me and I love them dearly. They know this, but they also knew that I would be continuing to work. That was our mutual decision, or mutual understanding.
And so I hope they thank the Lord for that too.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, well, just in helping people to understand, some people thought pastors and musicians and the people who run the microphones and people who clean up, the custodial, they thought all that was free. Okay, a lot of people have that misconception that people who work in ministry are serving the Lord, therefore they work for free. Biblically, they are to get the first fruits. Biblically, they are to be taken care of so that they can dedicate their life to service. So when you have, in our American context, where we are so workaholic, you got a lot of people literally that are working themselves to death. And again, I call on the pandemic as an era where God is starting to do new dispensations of his grace and his mercy to show us how we can do new things. I said it last night, I say it all the time. we're now speaking in new tongues through this digital language, ones and zeros. That's a digital language that some programmer came up with, but God did that, okay? He was the one who put that into the foundation of the earth. So eventually, after the mountains were excavated and after the rivers were dug and after the dams were built, we would have eventually found out a new way to communicate with each other that will give him glory. And what is happening is, as we are now through this thing, I don't know if it's over, but as we're marching through it, there's some who've been sent to their rest. The rest of us have been sent to our rooms to operate in our homes and figure it out, okay? And for those, we got a brand new building to go back to, fully renovated, brand new, haven't even worshiped in it yet. But as we go back into our corporate worship, if we are not changed, if we are not better rested, better respected, if we're not taking care of each other, looking out for each other, if we're not doing what the church has been called to do, when he clears the place out again, I don't know if I want to see it, Sister Fran, because he's given us an opportunity to repent. We have to repent and ask God to forgive us for trying to work ourselves so hard to prove how faithful and holy we are and not getting on our knees before him to say, Lord, fix me. Lord, make me what you want me to be. And until we kind of get comfortable with that, okay, our self-care is always going to have something missing. So I would say to those of you who don't believe, let us pray with you so that the Lord can show himself to you in the way you need to see, feel, hear, and taste it. Taste to see that he's good. And for those of us who are trying to be on this battlefield, don't work yourself to death. Right. Because work to a point where you can continue to live in it. I wake up every day glad. I wake up tired sometimes. But I even know when I do that, I'm listening to my body and I say, you know what? At this time, I'm cutting it all off. I'm laying it down. I'm going to sleep. And when I wake up, whatever is left, there it will be, you know, and God will give us the grace to take it through.
So now, one of the ways that you and I both tend to kind of come down off the mountaintop is with our music.
Woo!
So, please
your
tell
music.
me,
mine is a little rusty, crusty, and dusty, but you know. Have you played live on your show yet?
On this one? No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when it's time for the music show, I'd like to be able to come and do. I always say I play 2 songs good, Chopsticks and Trouble in My Way. So let me play.
If you don't stop lying through those glasses, if you, I'm telling the truth, right? If you knock it off,
don't even know that anymore. I feel so anxious saying that.
No, I'm gonna need you to knock it off. No, now because you brought up something, and when you were talking about music, and you reminded me of one of my favorite songs that I challenge you to listen to it tonight. I challenge you, sir. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
In my arsenal over here, because I told you last night, my playlist, they're ridiculous. But you were talking about how the media has kind of warped the idea of relationships and stuff like that. And the song that taught me the most about relationships, if I had my own drum roll, it would be Fairy Tales by Anita Baker. Get your life. Soon as you said, I was like, he not ready. He's not ready.
That takes, yeah, we're gonna have to have a part 2, another episode. That just we're gonna do one just music, whether it's on yours or mine, just music. Because see that Anita Baker. Now, first of all,
and the piano solo at the end, because that man walked up and down those keys, and he reminded me so much of my mother when he. Oh, Jesus!
That whole album was in my formative years. I'm sure you were probably in elementary if you were even in the earth. But
okay.
But I think I was in high school when that came out, and I just remember. When I hear those songs, I remember what I felt. I remember how innocent I was in the world, how I thought, oh, what a nice song. I love the way she sings. I love this music. And as the older we get, I'm telling you, I have the one thing pastoring has taught me more than anything else is compassion. Is how to feel empathize with another human being. You ain't got to agree with them, but you can feel really, especially if you're naturally empathetic. And when I hear certain music, it just reminds me of what I felt, and I compare that to what I feel now. When I see Anita sing now, and I know some people out there, well, she she talks about how she got to sing in a different key sometime. Okay,
Listen, and we all got to tell the truth. If
come
we
on
were
now.
smart, if we're
Yes,
smart,
yes,
and I don't understand why that's such an issue for people, because if you sing, you can
yeah.
sing in whatever key you need to sing in. You know how to make the adjustments. My voice can be in A flat today, and it
Come
can be
on,
in G and F on by
come
the end of the
on.
week. And don't play with me in E flat. I'll probably go ahead and go to glory. Don't play with me. But that's if you sing. If you
Right.
understand that sometimes that's what you need for yourself. But see,
Yeah.
that song was so special to me because she told the story. For one thing, the song came out in 1990. Okay,
I think,
and
yeah.
it came out in 1990, and I know I was listening to it when it first came out because I was still riding in the backseat of the 1975 Cadillac. So it
Come
was on
on.
a it was on a tape, and you had to flip it over to get to the B side. Oh, bless his name.
Yeah.
See,
Come
they don't
on.
know. They don't know about that. Yes,
Yeah.
you got to turn it over so because to come back for the vamp. Yeah, that was the part I was looking for. But that song, she told the story,
That's
and
so
that's a
lit. I'm
part.
I'm I'm hearing it now. And I'm just like, I
Yeah,
got to.
yeah, I can't remember stories. Those things my mother said. She told me fairy tales before I went to
Yes.
bed. She spoke of a
Yes.
happy ending, sweep me away at night. Woo! Listen,
Come
that.
on.
But when she started breaking down how the story flipped, no
Yes.
one ever came to save me. You let
Yes.
me stand alone
Say
out
it.
in the wilderness,
Come
out
on.
here on my own. Boy,
On my own.
I found no horse with no horse with wings to fly. I found a poison apple, my destiny to die.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the
Jesus,
need to
help me.
die.
Those
Heavy.
are lyrics right
Come
there.
on.
Okay. So that's one. That's one of the songs that's on my playlist. I got another one.
I love
Uh
it.
Okay, and now this one is recent, and I don't
Okay.
know how I missed it or whatever, but Ricky Dillard, Hand of the Lord.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We
Hand of the
we did
Lord.
that. Hmm.
Yes. And He's My Rooftop. I just found He's My Rooftop today. That song
Send
right
that
there.
to me.
Listen, when I saw the name, I'm like, Ricky,
See,
Ricky.
all right. You're making my mind wonder. Okay, that's not a safe thing for somebody like me
I'm serious.
because
He's my
but when you relate it to self care, see that's the little things that people instinctively do. Okay,
Yes,
and I would say your personal music ministry or music therapy, however you want to cage that, um, treat it as it's important. Make that a priority. There's
right.
some mornings when I get up and I'm rushing and I laugh at myself, but there's certain songs that a song will get stuck in your head and you can listen to it every day for a month and not get tired of it because it's
That's
just it's on there.
guilty.
I go through several, and then another thing. Now most of us do this, but I'm just sharing it for if there's one who I can listen now that because when Whitney Houston died,
Nippy.
uh, yeah. When I listen to the Preacher's Wife soundtrack, I can listen to that the whole soundtrack, or I got my top four cuts.
Where
Okay,
do who I go to
I
the
go to
rock?
the rock. You got the I love
I
the
love the Lord.
Lord. You got the Lord is my shepherd.
Yes,
And the last one, he's all over me with Shirley Caesar.
yes,
Now
come
I'm gonna stop.
on.
I'm gonna stop at the Lord is my shepherd. Now they played that song or they sang that song live at Whitney's funeral. Okay,
Yes.
what I did not know was that Dionne Warwick, her cousin, had recorded that song like back in like 80, 81 or something like that. Okay. So this
Oh,
was an arrangement of something that was familiar to a lot of people in her family. So when I was watching
oh
her
wow.
service and this choir sang that song live, now that song is it's like an anthem, it's like a gospel anthem.
Yeah.
And that song it's the simple, it's right out of the song. But the way they sing that song, the choir sings it, the organ is there, is churchy as all get out. I think in the scene in the movie is at a funeral. And at the end, it goes into this, real rock'em sock'em kind of hard beat. It's got one of those like almost like a double clap beat in there. Okay. They don't really sing that anymore in the CCM. I'm not mad. I just miss it. But I can listen to that song and I can be like toe up. Okay. I'm talking about at the bottom of your foot toe up. Okay. And I'm like, I don't
Listen.
even know why, but every time I listen to that, especially knowing that she's gone, matter of fact, she doesn't even sing on that track. Her mama does. Sissy sings it.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that in that film, it was a funeral, they sang it for her when she died. And then the rest of
Yes.
those songs kind of bring her voice and highlight her voice in such a
Yes.
wonderful way that she got her opportunity to be a film star as well as just the cute girl who
Yes.
could sing. You know what I'm saying? That opened up so many doors. And when I
Absolutely.
hear that, I'm not just listening to that song, I'm listening to the voices in that massive choir that came together to harmonize. And I always say, when we're listening to those things that we're familiar with and maybe we take for granted as musicians because we know what the rehearsal must have been like to get it like
Yes.
that. You know how long they were there. You know,
Excuse
somebody
me.
got cussed out and feelings hurt to get
Plug,
those high
plug.
notes and they sing it right and to learn their words and all that kind of stuff. But when you
Yes.
do it, and
Yes.
when it comes through, and when I hear it, it just reminds me, stop tripping. You know,
Yes.
I play it in the morning or play, when I play my music usually in the morning with shower time, take your 5 minutes, take your 10 minutes even if you're running late sometime, take that time for yourself so that when you
Yes.
get to your desk, you got your coffee, you got your stuff, you're
Yes.
not in a state of heightened chaos that will ruin your day and eat up all your time and make you feel guilty and make that cycle repeat day after day. Self-care begins every morning if you wake up. Thank you for waking you up. And I always say, feed your soul. Put those things in, even if it's just I'll give you one better. I've been listening to all my old favorite TV themes and all that kind of stuff. I can listen to Sesame Street and gospelize it, okay, because I ain't got no more sense to do that. But
Listen, I'm telling you, because I'm the one. Thank you for being a friend. Listen,
oh,
I will go in.
long
I
before Aaron did it, we were doing that.
thank
I played that
you.
at a funeral
Thank
one time,
you.
and you know they shouted.
Excuse
I
me.
did it. So
I was
no.
just getting ready to say, I have heard you, and as Broderick Rice would say, when they're playing that metacrational music,
Yes.
when the preachers are when the preachers are up talking, and out of nowhere you'll just hear, Mary had a little lamb. I mean, just songs just come out of nowhere, and I'm sitting here like, yes, you just start
I
playing,
I haven't
yes.
I haven't been with the brothers and sisters in the band in a while. I do miss elements of that. I can't play none of the songs they do now anyway, so I just have to kind of
Listen,
make my way through. But
but I'm just saying, it's just like, we find all of these things, we just make it good. And those
you
are the
have
things
to.
that people just don't understand, like what music can do for you. And that's why when I shared with you last night how
Yeah.
important
Hmm.
I feel music is, and
Oh,
it's a
it's
part
vital.
of it's a conversation,
Yeah, yeah.
when musicians get to have those conversations and you're following each other, and
Hmm. Hmm.
see, and this is the part that gets me. See, now we've become so educated and we're so into technology that now, all the musicians got headsets and they got
Yep.
microphones in front of them, so they're talking to each other so they can, tell each other where they're going and stuff
They're
like
not
that.
having to do all this from us.
Right, four, go to the three, go to the two, right. So it's like when you're in those moments and stuff like that, and when you were sharing about the Whitney Houston movie, The
Oh
Preacher's
yeah.
Wife,
Yes.
my music teacher,
Uh-huh.
Richard Jackson at Los
Ooh.
Angeles Adventist Academy.
Okay.
Hallelujah.
Come
When
on.
this man, I remember he took off like 2 or 3 weeks at one time
Mm-hmm.
only to find out it was because he was in the choir recording the
No.
soundtrack for
No.
that. He was one of the
Wow.
so he comes in
Mm.
with the sheet music, sits down to the piano
Thank
and
you.
says to the chorale, we're going to sing this song. Let me tell you something. When I tell you the first time we sung it, there was not a dry eye in the
Why do I
house.
have chills?
I'm being so honest with you. When
See,
and
that's
and
so unfair.
one of my class, one of she's not my classmate, but my
Mm.
schoolmate. Her name is Trisha Codd. She
Okay.
had to lead that song, and when
Mhm.
I say even in high school, she had
Yes.
the most beautiful soprano, but still
Mm.
full.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was,
strength.
I don't even want to say soprano. She was more of a contralto because,
Right, right.
she had the range,
Depth to it, yeah.
Yes, it was full and rich. And I mean, we would sing that song and we had 5-part harmony because we had our bass section.
Come on now.
We took pride in
I
singing
love
that
it.
song. And
I
I think we
absolutely
took
love it.
so much pride in
Hmm.
singing it because we knew our
Hmm.
music teacher is on
Yes, he
that
was in. Yeah,
soundtrack. You
yes.
know, so
Oh,
when
that's
we watched the
beautiful.
movie,
Yeah,
it was one of those like you can literally listen and try to hear his voice, but
right.
he had such an amazing voice and such an amazing, and he's gone on to be with the Lord now for
Mm,
almost 15 years now.
wow.
But I never forgot that he something that he stood and sung, he brought
Hmm.
it to the kids and
Hmm.
he taught it
Hmm.
to us, and we respected him for that.
Yes, by all
We
means.
didn't take that for granted. I know we done kind of got off the self-care thing, but you
But
gotta
that's okay
ain't
because
no
I'm
way I
gonna
can
bring it
talk to
right
you and
back,
not talk
right?
about music.
That's okay. Let me bring it right back because look at
Please.
what your teacher did. Okay,
Yeah.
he took time.
Yes.
He invested in himself.
Yes, he
He
did.
made himself available to an
Yes.
opportunity God opened for him. He had to
Yes.
step away,
Yes.
but he was able to return.
You
And I
better
would say,
tie it up. I see
I'm
you.
just
Come on,
saying,
doctor.
all
Yes,
of us,
sir.
I'm talking to myself too because I miss some opportunities, and I've been so committed not to miss any other. I didn't mean for them all to become jobs, but
Yes.
but what we have to be aware of is now this for you, the churcheth among us, and all the rest. We got to be ready for the moment when God moves us,
Yeah.
okay? Because part of self care is preparing ourselves for what God is maturing us into, what He's created us for. If we think the fullness of what we're supposed to be doing is this right here, we've missed it, okay? Because if we're any age younger than dead, God still has something for us to do. There's always going to be more because there's someplace else we haven't gone, some spot, some whatever. And if we are so busy, again, holding on, well, I got this far, we reach a certain age and we either get comfortable, we make a certain amount of money, we don't have to struggle the way we used to struggle. It's
Yes.
easy to say, well, I'm comfortable and I'm good, that's fine. But as a part of our self-care, when we honor Sabbath, when we just turn stuff off or allow ourselves to step away, guess what? You can't find a replacement because you're still doing their job. They can't get to the entry level if you're doing the entry, the assistant, the manager, the supervisor, the executive, and the owner. You can't. It's impossible. And so, as we allow God to mature us, taking care of ourselves, meaning that we are ready for God to use us in our new form. If we are being rubbed the wrong way, burnt out, frustrated, maybe that is a sign that it's okay to loosen up and maybe be transplanted as we are gems, be transplanted into from the ring to the crown. Okay. Allow
Uh-oh.
ourselves to shine, not just in the work and the labor,
Oh,
but
bless
into
his
that
name.
place of leadership or where
Yes.
God can demonstrate what he can do with us. A lot of us go only so far because we like the part of the story that we can tell, and everybody don't have to know all the stuff that went underneath. But if you look at
Mm-hmm.
anybody who achieves a certain level of success that we look at a certain point, all of the stuff starts to flow out. There's no
Absolutely.
more secrets, and I think once we release some of those things, as you said earlier, pastors are human.
Yes.
We those who have families, we got to take better care of our families. And
Yes.
for those of us who are yet to have families of our own, if we invest as the honorary auntie or the unbelievable uncle and all that kind of stuff, that's great.
Unbelievable.
But tell them, send them here for the weekend so y'all can get your relationship right and stop cussing over them or fighting over them or sending them to their room because you can't stand each other. Go work on that. Take your self-care to take care of each other. And if you do have a partner in life, that means you have a partner in accountability. Hold me,
Yes.
but hold me accountable so that
Yes.
we can make sure that we are our best self. That's the whole thing
Yes.
about this. And our self-care, if it feels selfish at first, keep on doing it. Keep on doing it till you actually enjoy that guilty feeling, knowing that you're not breaking the law, doing nothing wrong. In other words, you get to it's a form of basking that's not holding, nothing over anybody. One of my dear friends, he's older. His daughter I'd say y'all about the same age. She's expecting.
Oh, bless God.
But he went all old school. Well, they didn't marry yet. At this point in life, with this pandemic going on, if God is still bringing life, he's going to deal with that. Okay. And I understand that would have been an embarrassment to you. But the thing is, God let you get away with some stuff too. Probably how your daughters got here, bro. I don't mean no harm. But
hello,
if y'all tied it up quicker than they did, don't hold that against them. You support the life of that new child. You encourage them to do whatever it is that you think is supposed to be right. And don't burden yourself with trying to live vicariously through your grown children. You should be pushing toward retirement. Enjoy your retirement. Self-care. Okay? They'll be all right. Because if you don't want to have your grandbaby around and you got one, a lot of people ain't gonna get no grandbaby. And I spell it with an M just because. Okay? So
that part.
I'm gonna stop now. We've certainly ventured off, but just say be available for God to move you if you need to move. Okay.
Absolutely. So I would be remiss. Oh, I did want to ask you about your TV shows.
Okay.
In your self-care time when you have your when you have your me time. What TV shows have grabbed your attention?
Okay. I have to be honest because I'm a geek on a lot of different levels. Okay.
Okay.
So I can always go for some science fiction or heroes or action. I can always do that. I just discovered The Boys. I think it's on Amazon where like superheroes come to life. I started watching that, which
I'm in
blows
season
my
2.
Mind. But Giancarlo Esposito is in it, and anything he's in, I'm in. Okay.
Okay.
And then I go historical. So
Okay.
I'll be watching some of those things. Like I don't care. I ain't scared, y'all. I'm almost 50 years old. I watched all the Downtown Abbeys. I watched the Game of Thrones. I watched
Ooh.
the Crown because I think Queen Elizabeth reminds me so much of my grandmother. So I just think that's my family.
Jesus, I
Okay.
love The Crown.
And
I'm
then the
waiting
last.
on the next season. Really, I am. I
Oh
haven't
yeah.
got to Downtown Abbey yet, but The
It takes
Crown.
some getting used to, but all the Harry Potter actors are in it. That's why I started watching it. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's why if you like certain performers, you just sort of follow them.
sure.
And then the last thing that I watched the last couple of days was the documentary series. I love my documentaries. I
Me
can't stop
too.
educating myself. But I watched a documentary by CNN on Michelle Obama, First Lady Obama. It's a First Lady series, and I honor her. I really appreciate her. I
That's our
respect.
forever first lady.
Yes, I
Hallelujah.
respect their relationship, and I
Yes.
look at them as role models. I
Yes.
don't care who knows it; they can say what they want. It's not even a political thing because it
Right.
talked about the way she had to navigate that sacrifice differently than any other woman in history of our
That part.
country and the world. And for her to survive that, overcome that, the real threat of safety to herself and her children, because people threaten their lives every single day. Most sisters would not have kept their composure in the way they did. And some of those folks would have been caught, captured, and strung up on the White House lawn, because we know
That
those
part.
people. But she had to play a role and perform a duty that served
Yeah.
not only the country, but it served Black and brown women around the world. It served Black men around the world, and
Yes.
little girls who will look up and say, I also can become. Okay. So I'm all for
Absolutely.
that. Then the
Okay.
last thing I watched hers, then I watched Jacqueline Kennedy's because she kind of set a certain tone
Jackie O.
back in her day. You talk
Come
about that
on.
Lincoln, see, okay, we
Yes.
got some history there. And the thing
Hallelujah.
about that, again, she came from so much privilege and opportunity, but she had
Yes.
so much tragedy in her life. And when I look
Yes.
at, she died at like 64 years old, very young,
Mm-hmm.
as closer, that ain't as old as it used to be. And I
Right.
look at when people have accomplished so much in these young lives, sometimes I wonder, what am I still doing here? What have I done with my life and my time? And that used to make me grind harder, work harder, but now it makes me work smarter. What are the
Yes.
things that I'm doing? What do they matter? Where can I make a difference? And if you look at, anything, I go from history to education to fun. A preacher friend had me watching this P Valley business, and I think my eyeballs rolled out of my skull because I wasn't
You weren't
prepared,
ready. You were
but
not ready.
but I grew up. I
Shout
grew up
out
in
to
Greenville.
Brandy. That was my choreographer
Okay,
for the Soul Cafe when
okay, okay.
I had to dance in some stilettos.
There you
Oh,
go. Well,
Okay. All right.
without a lot of context, I'm gonna just say this because I got family all over the country. I'm gonna just say this. I grew up in Greenville, South Carolina, at a time where Red Fox, Dolomite, Richard Pryor, Eddie
Come
Murphy, and
on.
all those were blazing a trail. And I,
Yes.
as a young little fellow, was able to
Who?
word for word recite their albums. So I wasn't quite ready for P Valley, but I reserve the right to laugh. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Who? Listen. I
I think I
wasn't.
covered myself, right?
I was out. Yeah, you could on all sides. I got you. I'll go down the rabbit hole today. I was watching the show because the choreographer who taught me these steps, and she took her time with me to get this together so I could perform in Don B. Welch's, shout out Don B,
Yeah.
the Soul Cafe. And I had to wear my little this it was like a culotte short kind of outfit or whatever. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, Lord, how am I gonna get through this? But she was like, you got this, girl. And so
Uh-huh.
I was just supporting her show. And so then with Uncle Clifford,
Yes,
when
yes, yes.
when Uncle
Watch it.
Clifford walked out, I
Yeah.
said, "Oh, I wasn't ready." And all you see are you see the heels, you see the
Yeah.
legs, and then it get up to the face, and you got full size
Yeah, I.
and the nails. I wasn't ready,
Yeah,
but I see Lolo
you
was in it too. Loretta Devine, have you made it to the end of the first
mm,
season?
mm-mm. No,
Okay,
I
I'm gonna
was
shut up then.
exposed to yeah. I was exposed to it. I haven't dug in, but
Got okay.
yeah.
Well, then don't. Okay,
But
uh,
I've worked with Miss Loretta. I've had the pleasure of accompanying her.
she is a sweetheart.
Sweet
Good
person, great
Lord.
consummate performer,
Yes.
and I look at that.
And
Like I
she
said,
believes in, and she truly believes. I have an email from her that I will
uh-huh.
never get rid of.
Yo, you can't.
It was after we had rehearsal at Messiah Baptist Church.
Mm,
And I had to come up and I had to do this scene, and I'm talking and I'm doing stuff. And she sends me this, and she said, "You left before I could get to you, but I knew I had your email because you were on the thread from for the play." And she was like, "But you're good. I mean, you're really good." And it's like, I'm over here trying to just mind my
yeah,
business,
yeah, yeah.
and for someone of her caliber, because I
Oh,
highly respect her,
fantastic!
but for
Wow.
somebody of her caliber to say it was like,
Yeah,
okay, I know, and I told you this last night. I was raised to walk in humility.
yeah.
Bottom
Oh, yeah.
line, be
Yeah.
good all day long. Study your craft all day long. But when
Hmm.
you get in front of people and
Sure.
when you're presenting yourself, it's with humility and you back away
Hmm.
from it. And
Sure.
so in the process, it also kind of made me how can I say this? Take for granted that I am gifted, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so sometimes I love those little reminders that come. And
Hmm.
so now I asked you about your show, so I'm going to tell you
Yeah.
about mine, and then
Please.
I have to give a shout out to my cousin as we wrap
Okay.
the show up because we are
Yeah.
definitely into overtime. We're 27 minutes into overtime,
I'm so
and I
sorry.
no, please don't be, because the village loves it, and the comments they're appreciative of
I
this
love it.
conversation. And so hey, we rolling with it. And because I'm producer and host, who
Right.
gonna
You
who
get
gonna check?
to. I'm gonna
All right.
say thank you and thank everybody for watching, for rolling with us, for taking a peek into the conversation. We only get to have about once a year, or maybe even every 2 years.
Right.
So
But we gonna
this is
change that.
definitely some catching up. Yeah, we're fixing that, and
Yeah. we
I'm
gonna
grateful
change
that we
that.
can do it in this forum and format. So hey, it's all
Absolutely.
good.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna give you mine.
Yes,
Uh
please.
and the village, some of them already know. They
Okay,
already know that, I
I'm
have
bracing myself. Don't worry.
I I went from the whole Greenleaf spiel.
Okay,
I
yeah.
I had my funeral for the bishop.
Mm.
Excuse me, I still
It's okay. Take your time. Take your time.
get a
Let me
little
give you a flutter wave on
thank
that.
you. Thank you. Whew. But anyway, no, my bishop died. And so
Yes,
Lynn Whitfield, she just picked up a new show called Delilah. And
yes,
so they haven't told us
love
how this
her.
is all gonna work out. But let me tell you, like you said, you follow certain actors and actresses. Where Lynn Whitfield goes, I
Yes,
go.
you
Okay.
go.
Where Lady May goes,
Yep,
I'm going where
yep.
Lady May going. All right. But right now, my current obsession is
Okay.
Lovecraft Country.
Okay, now I've heard a lot about that, and it's to me it sounds like it's like a fusion of a few elements we don't usually see fused
Listen,
together. Is that
we
true?
yeah, black people in horror, we don't do it.
Not
But
so
let me
much.
tell you something.
I
This
gotta check it out. Okay, done. Done. Say no more. I felt that rebuke in my heart.
whoo, listen, I'm telling you from the first episode, I just want to be I'm being so honest with you. I just want to be a fly on the wall for one scene and one
Yeah.
scene only, just to
Uh-oh.
see how hard you. I just
It's gonna get a brother like that. Okay, well, I'm down
listen.
for a challenge.
I don't do horror. I really don't.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you. Now I can get into action movies,
Yeah,
all of that
yeah.
stuff, the shooting. I love a good shooting movie, especially if it's high action packed.
Right.
But horror, I don't
Yeah.
do. And I don't do it because I feel like that's an unnecessary use of adrenaline.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm one of
So
those.
you're not gonna be at the haunted house.
Listen, can I tell you a quick story? And this is a treat for anybody who stuck around to the end of the show. I,
Yes.
so once upon a time in
Okay.
high school,
Yes.
my senior year, my mother allowed me. See, people don't know, they don't say that kind of stuff no more. My
Hmm.
mother allowed me to attend all of the events that took place for that year. And
Okay.
so for homecoming, oh, I just got a little creeped out because it was around this
Yeah.
time of the year.
Time of year. Yep.
Yeah, so for homecoming, we had the homecoming game and I got dressed up and I was
Mhm.
comfortable, thought I was cute. And we went to golf and stuff
Okay.
off of the 605 freeway.
Okay.
They had a haunted house,
Mm.
but I didn't know it was a haunted house. To me, it
Oh.
just looked like a fun house.
Right. Fun. Right. Big difference.
Yes, my schoolmates told me, "Hey, Fran, come
Hmm.
on in, let's go in the fun house." So we go in the fun house, and once you get in, it was
Hmm.
almost like how it is now in social distancing. You
Yeah.
go in one way, but you got to come out on the other side. You can't turn
Hmm.
around and go back.
Yep. No backsies.
Once I got inside,
Oh
help
no.
us today, Lord.
Oh
Uh,
no.
and it's like, okay, it's dark. Okay, that's cool. So maybe it's gonna be
Hmm.
some other fun stuff coming. I'm like, this music sounds scary.
Hmm.
This is kind of creeping me out. So
Uh.
all of a sudden, my friends started laughing and running. They took
Mhm.
off. I still question my friendship with them, but that's not the point of the story.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Good. Come back to
anyway,
that.
yeah, because it's gonna all come full circle in about 5 seconds. You just wait.
Yeah.
So I'm walking, I'm like, well, I ain't no punk, so it's whatever. Like, all right, and now I'm throwing out the threats. I'm making
Yeah.
it, don't touch me. I'm
Right.
just
Right.
letting you
Right.
know
Right.
now.
Don't
This
bring it
ain't about
here.
to go. This is not about to go the way you thought.
Uh.
Out of nowhere, I tripped over something, and then I felt a hand on my shoulder.
Uh.
Hallelujah. Oh, I
Mm-mm.
promise you, I was the last person he touched that night.
Uh.
Okay. He touched me. And then I smooth grabbed him by his
Ooh.
neck. I
Ooh.
never stopped punching. I punched him all the way
Ooh.
through the fun house. Oh, it wasn't a fun house, a haunted house. To
Ooh.
the point out of in fighting him because I felt like, no, he ain't feeling
Uh-huh.
this because I'm hitting the
Yeah.
mask. I
Yeah.
snatched the mask off.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah, it was bad. So by the time we get out of the haunted house, everybody's
Wow.
like, Fred, stop!
Yeah.
Fred,
Yeah.
stop! Because I ain't never stopped. Listen,
You had to get out of there. You had
my
to press your
daddy
way
told
through.
me, you don't start the fight, okay?
Right.
You don't
Right.
start the fight, but you finish it. If
Finish it.
somebody
Right.
if somebody bring it to your door, show them what the whites can do, okay?
See you next time.
So now it was like, okay, well, we about to put her out. And then then here comes the group. She didn't know. We didn't
Uh-huh.
tell her.
Uh-huh.
She
Mm.
thought she was just going in a fun. Let me tell you. So I told Alma, I said, y'all stay away from me. Don't
Yeah.
talk to me.
Take
I
me
said,
home.
because
I gotta
quiet as
go.
kept, I
I
need to
gotta go.
line all y'all up and get it.
See.
But it turned out to be funny because they was like, hey, if you didn't know, now you know she got hands. Like
So Lovecraft gave you that one touch that hard is okay.
he touched me.
Uh, I was gonna say you brought somebody's skeleton arm out because
I grabbed him and I never let go. I just because it was one. I'm not going out like this. I'm
No.
just not. I'm sorry. It's just a misuse of adrenaline.
Eh,
That's the thing. But this movie, it brings out so many other elements. That's the
mhm,
part. The especially with us being in the we're dealing with the systemic racism. It's not that it hasn't always been here, and that's what the
mhm,
show proves. It's
mhm.
always been here
Yeah,
because it's
sure.
in the Jim Crow era.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a throwback. But then
Right.
I love how they walk through history. I
Okay.
love
Okay.
how they took us all the way back to Tulsa to the Black Massacre that
Come on
happened,
now. Come
Black
on.
Wall Street.
Yeah.
And that was in the last episode that just came out. So
Okay.
we only got one more episode to the finale. So I need you to go back to the beginning
I
so
gotta
you
get
can,
caught up. I'm gonna get caught up.
sir. That's my thing. And then
Okay.
because the last thing, because we just finished, Pastor White just finished teaching on demonology.
Wow.
And yeah, because everybody want to talk about the angels, but don't nobody want to deal with the demons. And so
Because
our
they're living in their
series,
house.
whew, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the after hours special of Conversations with Fran, where we talking about the demons in your house. No, I'm playing, but no, but we dealt with the angels, but my dad, but
I
my
said that
dad,
now.
he dealt with the demons. And
Wow.
so I stumbled across this series that came out in 2019
Okay.
on CBS. I'm trying to say the actor's name, but he also played the Marvel character of Luke Cage on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about the burly
Big
dude.
dark skinned dude. Yeah.
Yeah, looks just like
Hallelujah.
me. Self care. I gotta see it in order to manifest it. Okay.
I
I'm
can't.
gonna at least get the tan. I've been trying to get a little darker. You know, it's hot
Listen,
outside, so.
listen. Welcome to the after hours special of Conversations with Frank. It just went left. Okay. All right. But no, I'm serious. Like, okay, so, but the show is called Evil.
Okay. Oh
Okay.
wow.
Yeah, it's called Evil. And you got into talking about, some of the documentaries.
Yeah.
I love documentaries.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated. A lot people gonna find out a lot. I'm fascinated with the Vatican.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
uh, yeah, Roman Catholicism is very interesting to me. And their obsessions with artifacts of Christ just really just does something for me. It's real
Yeah.
interesting. And because I used to kind of study some things along the Masonic,
Okay.
I never got into the Eastern Stars or anything like that. But once I get fixed on something, I don't stop
Uh-huh.
until I find out everything I want to know.
I'm sure
All
they'll
right.
recruit you when you're ready.
I don't want to be okay.
Okay.
See,
Okay.
all
Gotcha.
right,
Just
okay.
making sure.
Yeah, no, thank you.
We're not gonna
So,
have you left out of something you want to do. That's
no,
all I'm
no, 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 no. I
saying.
appreciate you. It's sweet. That was sweet of you, but no, thank you. That's
Got
not
it.
my calling. I just want to study it. That's my
Okay.
thing. Okay, so yeah, so the show is evil, and they've hired this. They've hired. I need to know his name. Somebody Google that for me and put it in the chat. The name of the show is Evil on CBS, and tell me the priest's name. He's basically going through the process. He's already
Hmm.
been in seminary and done all these things, and so
Hmm.
he is what's called an assessor
Okay.
for the church,
Hmm.
for the Catholic Church. And what his job is to go out. They get these cases where people are asking for exorcisms and things like that, and it's
Hmm.
his job to go out and to assess whether or not it's actually needed. I'm gonna stop this banner from running at the bottom because we ain't talking about self care no more at this point.
Well, it's all
But
part of the
oh,
stuff that you do that is life giving, that
you're right.
intrigues you, and all that
You're
kind of
right.
stuff.
We
So
just
it's
kind
all
of
good.
dug in deep. So what they can do is remember to like, subscribe, and share.
Gotta
Anywho,
like, subscribe, and share. Gotta do it.
so his job is to go out and do the assessing to see if this case actually requires it. And
Yeah.
then he has and what he did, he hired a couple of psychotherapists to come with him. And these are
Mhm.
basically people who are extreme skeptics.
Okay.
And that's why the church hired them, because they wanted to have extreme skeptics who could then say, is this mental illness? Is this or is this really an exorcism? Because
Mhm.
some of the characteristics of someone who requires an exorcism look similar to mental illness. And so they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
trying to make sure that we're not confusing the two and
Mhm.
giving someone, and I hope, if you know anything about the Catholic Church, you'll understand what I'm saying. Making sure that
Mhm.
we're not giving someone spiritual care when they really require health care.
Right.
And that
Yeah.
was the whole
Medical.
idea. Right.
Yeah.
And so that show has really intrigued me, because there was one episode where the they were getting ready to do an exorcism, and they were like, no, this woman really needs care. Well, how? And the therapists are standing next to each other and like, how can we get them to understand
Mhm.
that she really needs to go to the hospital?
Mhm.
And they look over, and the woman sees, I'll just say it's this, she
Mhm.
sees the little capsule of holy water.
Mhm.
She takes it, goes in the bathroom, pours it in the toilet,
Mhm.
fills it back up with tap water.
Mhm.
And then she comes back and she puts it in the same spot. So when the priest picks it up and
Mhm.
he begins, saying the rituals and God be
Mhm.
with us and all that kind of stuff they say, and he's doing this, the therapists, they just start smirking
Mhm.
at each other, because the woman
Yeah.
is still reacting to it the
Uh-huh.
same way she did earlier. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
they were like, we need to talk. So they
Yeah.
bring the priest outside and they said, she needs mental care. She needs health
Yeah.
care
Yeah.
because we changed the water. That's not holy
Come
water.
on. Come on.
The priest, I said he needed an organ behind him. The priest said, it ain't in the water. It
Yeah.
was in
Yeah.
my belief. I said,
Come on. Come on.
Shabo! I said, come on, Jesus. Yes. He said, he was like, he, he said, God can use anything
Yes.
to deliver his people. I said, sir, put him in the key of deliverance right now. I got up, I read and called my dad. I said, Daddy, you gotta watch this. I said, they about to take me on in and shut the
I
door
love it.
behind
I
me.
love it.
So yeah, I pick shows that they kind of run the gamut of things,
Good.
and either I'm gonna watch something that's gonna educate me, or I'm gonna watch something that's gonna make me laugh. Or I'm gonna watch something that's gonna educate me and make me
Sure.
laugh. It's
You
just
gotta have your laughter. You gotta have,
absolutely.
as we said last night, the shops and salons opening up, brothers. You can get lined up by your real barber, not just the household version. Go on and get it.
Listen, I've been cutting my
Those
daddy's
manicures,
hair.
pedicures. Get your massages.
Yes,
Get you a therapy appointment. Mental health there are Christian therapists. If
absolutely.
and see, God is able
And
to
not just
use
your
science.
pastor, okay?
Yeah,
Give your pastor a break, please.
check on them. Check on your pastor. Yeah.
Check on them, but don't
But
use him for your therapy session,
yeah,
please.
there's some boundaries, and especially if a pastor tells you that they do have a boundary for some reason, don't go back and talk about what they're not doing, because they're
Yes,
they're they're not rejecting you, they're protecting you. They're saying this is
absolutely.
an area of expertise that I don't have, but they will more than likely have resources for you. And I would say the best thing one can do, again, take that personal inventory, recognize what you're working yourself to death on, and fix that. Where you need some rest, the time you need to take. I promised myself on this new job I was so bad about not taking my vacation, this, that, and the other. I'm taking my vacation days, taking those days off when I need to, and go ahead and schedule yourself to be healthy, to be happy,
Absolutely.
to be safe. Because the thing is, they will not only either replace you in a few days, or they won't. A robot might have your job, but they'll eliminate the position. I used to say, well, if something happened to be on this job, call my mama, send my mama a ham. They don't even send hams out no more. Okay,
A
they,
ham?
they're not going to send a flower. We do funerals on Zoom now, so they don't make yourself expendable. Make sure that you are valuable to yourself as God sees you valuable. That's where your self-care begins. You need any help, you can check me out also over at DocHop2020 on Instagram. I'm here.
Yes.
Mr. Brand, thanks for having me tonight. I'm blessed and honored just to be here.
Man, you are so
We
welcome.
could do this, but I got some TV homework to do, so that's gonna be part of my self-care, just to fill
See?
myself with some entertainment, just to
See?
know what
That
everybody's
part.
talking about, and go from there.
Absolutely. And so, as we wrap this up, I want to
Amen.
say to everyone that this has been absolutely amazing.
Excellent.
And I'm grateful, Dr. Hopkins, that you were able
Thank
to join me
you. Thank
tonight.
you.
I see we had some people run in the ninth hour on the show, and they are cracking up laughing right now. So, I want
I'm
to
gonna have to
say,
watch this again. I don't see the comments, so I'm gonna have to watch it.
sir, you are not ready. It's
I'm about
going
to
to
get
be
some DMs. Uh-oh.
no, no. Well, listen, well, now I'm gonna shut up. But no,
I have a
I did
Bible study link that I could send to anyone who would like it.
you switch the
You got to stay ready.
voice? Yes.
Not bad at all. This is
So
all good.
listen, so I want to give a huge, huge shout out to Minister Lorenzo Johnson and praise
Yes.
him.
Yes.
They
Love
have
him.
a new song out called The
Awesome.
Cure. And I'm not, he gave me the opportunity to jump in on the tag of it. But listen,
Ooh,
my cousin Lorenzo, he writes songs that are so prevalent to where he is in his life, not
love
just
him.
him, but the everybody around him, other people that are blessed by the ministry. He just, man, the boy is gifted, and I thank God for him. And then there's another young lady. Her name is Tamika Glover,
Okay.
Mika Rashawn. She has some music that's out, and I promise next week I'm gonna have all my little pictures and everything ready because
Okay.
I was still a little scared to try to share everything and show stuff on the screens and stuff. I'm just grateful that we got through show
This is
number 2
awesome.
on the Just Fran
Yes.
channel, although it's
Love it.
technically episode 10.
It's
And
okay.
I just want to say to my village, you have been absolutely amazing over this journey. And as I shared with Pastor Hopkins last night, that, some people, they have an expectation of you because of
Yeah.
how high they think they have you on a pedestal.
Sure.
And I hope everyone is completely clear when I say this.
Yeah.
I'm grassrooting this thing because that's what I should have done from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because there are certain areas that I know God is taking me into that I need to continue what I've been standing on. And those are the words of Paul: be all things to all people, be
Yeah.
able to function in all capacities, know how to be both abased and how to abound, to have and not have, to have a producer in front of you and to be your own producer.
Come on now.
Hallelujah. So
Man.
my thing is, I'm just grateful, village, that you have come along on this journey with me, that you have shared in the process with me, that you have rocked with me, from the time that I've done anything from stage to just singing, 3 years old, 4 years old, standing in front of the church to preaching, all across the board. I'm grateful for you and I love you all.
Man.
Once again, Dr. Hopkins, thank you so, so much for
Thank you,
being
Reverend
here
White. Thank
and
you.
for sharing this time with me. This can't be the only time that we had these conversations, man.
Like I said, I'm hosting next time, so
Okay.
save me a Thursday, and we'll
Yes,
we'll
sir.
pick it up where we left off. All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome.
So, Village, God bless you. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. And I'm going to see y'all next Friday. I'll holla. Bye.
Bye bye.